Take 100% responsibility. Joni has no blame. The other person doesn't have any blame. It's all, I don't even blame the devil. It's all on me.
These are some of our most private moments, but there actually are 3 people who were not involved in what we're talking about today or affected by our marital challenge they're now saying that unless Daystar pays them $7.5 million, that they're going to take our story that we just shared with you to the media.
You see, these 3 people that Joni shared with you, they're trying to take our pain and turn it to their gain. But ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to take God's money and pay to keep from being humiliated, I guess, or exposed, or exploited, whatever you want to call it.
The reason the attorney met with them was to say, I'm representing these 3 people that you have wronged, that you have treated out of accordance with your policy, with your handbook, and with Texas state law and federal law. You've mistreated them, and I'm representing them. Now, that's a reasonable thing to do. Why go to court if somebody will say, you know, you're right, let's come to an agreement, and we need to make it right by these people? And how else would you make it right? Do they want to go back there and work? I don't think so. So there'd have to be damages paid, damages for wages lost, pain and suffering, etc. What was the amount? I don't know. But it could have been $2.5 million apiece for 3 individuals, which would be 7.5. But that's why he met with them, was because he was representing three oppressed individuals. It was about demotion, firing without cause, unequal treatment. To show the unequal treatment, the action would use Marcus Lamb's affair as the biggest, most egregious example. Let me repeat that again. To show the unequal treatment that these ladies had received, the action would use Marcus Lamb's affair as the biggest, most egregious example. Marcus wasn't the focus. He was the example of unequal treatment. They weren't going there to extort Marcus Lamb, but they were going to show that you did this to these 3 ladies who haven't done anything wrong, while you ignore Marcus Lamb, who allegedly had a 7-year affair with no demotions.
I started working as the director of marketing at Daystar in June 2005. In the process of applying for the job, I was interviewed by Marcus Lamb and Janice Smith. She was identified as the vice president of programming and sales for Daystar, and the individual to whom I would report if I became director of marketing. Before accepting employment, it was very important to me, as a Christian, to determine the moral integrity of the organization, and especially the individuals under whose authority I would work. In an employment brochure, Daystar itself encouraged job applicants to do exactly that. They quoted 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 12, which says, "We beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you, and are over you in the Lord." Accordingly, I asked both Marcus and Janice about the moral standards with which Daystar was managed, and the moral climate of the workplace. They both replied and represented to me that Daystar was operated in conformity to the highest standards of Christian behavior. They made specific reference to chastity, modesty, and purity, and said that conformity to those standards was required of all employees. But when Marcus and Janice made these representations, they were themselves secretly in the midst of an illicit sexual affair, and, at that point, it had been ongoing for approximately 5 years.
And I discovered that he was having an emotional relationship, if you will, with someone, and that it had turned into an improper relationship.
After Daystar offered me the position of marketing director, and in reliance upon the false representations by Marcus and Janice, I accepted the employment and began working. I reported directly to Janice and indirectly to Marcus. Thereafter, Marcus himself continued to make representations about his company, and about his marriage to Joni, that were false, in light of his ongoing affair with Janice. I was an excellent employee of Daystar, performing my duties with skill and professionalism, and they repeatedly acknowledged these facts. In August 2007, an employee who reported to me, advised me and the information systems manager that he had found emails clearly proving that Marcus and Janice were having an illicit sexual relationship and that it had been going on for about 7 years. In addition to many lewd statements, Marcus wrote in one of his emails to Janice that he could not wait to make her the next Mrs. Marcus Lamb.
And I discovered that he was having an emotional relationship, if you will, with someone, and that it had turned into an improper relationship.
The emails also revealed that financial resources of Daystar had been used to facilitate trysts in other locations. One employee provided copies of the emails to me and to another employee. He then promptly tendered a 2-week notice of his resignation. The revelation of the ongoing and long-standing affair between 2 senior officers of Daystar, and indeed the 2 people who had interviewed me and to whom I reported, was utterly devastating. The illicit sexual relationship between Marcus and Janice obviously violated the published statement of core values of Daystar. I and another employee did not know what we should do, so we consulted Fred and Anna Kendall. They were experienced marriage counselors who had often appeared on Celebration. The Kendalls advised us that Marcus should step down from his leadership position, and that he and Joni should seek marriage counseling. But they refused to confront Marcus themselves. They left to us the decision as to exactly how to present the information to company management. We decided to explain the situation to Bill Trammell, because he was Joni's father and a manager at Daystar. After we provided Bill a copy of the emails, he thanked us and told us that he would send them to Joni. Almost immediately thereafter, she called me and thanked me for bringing the affair to light. But this may have been misleading, as the emails contain information suggesting that she already knew about her husband's affair. After we spoke with Bill, Joni insisted that Janice leave Daystar immediately. Daystar hastily agreed to purchase her home and entered into a sham consulting agreement under which Daystar paid her substantial sums of hush money. Thereafter she moved out of state, and did not render to Daystar services of equivalent value to those substantial sums she was paid. Daystar then actively deceived people, both within and outside the organization, about the reason for her departure. Janice had been in a high-profile position and had appeared frequently on Celebration, but suddenly she was gone. Many people asked what had happened. Daystar, and Joni in particular, directed me to participate in the cover-up and deception concerning Janice's departure. This, coupled with the flagrant breach of trust already described, was intolerable to me, so I resigned. My last day at Daystar was on May 31, 2008. Both before and after I left, I experienced severe emotional trauma, because of the egregious misrepresentations made to me by leaders whom I loved and respected, and because of the improper instructions to lie about the affair and the fraudulent financial transactions that ensued. Eventually, my depression was so severe that I became suicidal, and was involuntarily committed to a mental institution. On November 18, 2010, my attorney delivered to Daystar lawyer John Lynch a letter stating that he was representing me, as well as 2 other former employees. A few weeks later, on November 30 at 11 a.m., Daystar broadcast a new episode of Celebration in which Marcus admitted that he had been unfaithful to his wife.
Marcus and I went through a challenge in our marriage, and I discovered that he was having an emotional relationship, if you will, with someone, and that it had turned into an improper relationship.
I take 100% responsibility. Joni has no blame. The other person doesn't have any blame. It's all, I don't even blame the devil. It's all on me.
Actually are 3 people who were not involved in what we're talking about today or affected by our marital challenge they're now saying that unless Daystar pays them $7.5 million, that they're going to take our story that we just shared with you to the media.
They're trying to take our pain and turn it to their gain. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to take God's money and pay to keep from being humiliated, I guess.
Various guests, including the Kendalls, appeared on the program and praised Marcus for his transparency and the way he had conducted himself. But the descriptions of the affair and the ensuing events were completely misleading. The inappropriate relationship was incorrectly described as lasting only a short time, not 7 years. And Marcus falsely represented that he had stepped down from preaching for an extended period. It was also falsely represented that the other participant in the affair bore no responsibility for what had happened. But she had been a senior officer at Daystar, and was fully aware that donations to the organization had been used improperly, both to arrange the secret trysts and to cover up the affair.
That's what I have for today, guys. I will see you in the next video. Please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. God bless. Bye.